On this episode of Code Blue in America, the breaking news segment, we take a quick look at the attendees who paid an upward of $500,000 for Trump's meme coin dinner, only to get served Walmart trash steak and no access to Trump in the end. Now, they are whining about it loud on TikTok. The highly anticipated and now infamously grilled meme coin dinner for top dollar Trump coin investors went down on May 22, 2025 at Trump National Golf Club in Sterling, Virginia. Billed as an exclusive evening of black tie glitz, insider access to former President Trump, and the kind of steak you'd expect to whisper secrets of power into your ear, the event instead served up 15 minutes of vague political bluster and what guests called Walmart-level trash steak. Nicholas Pinto, a 25-year-old influencer who shelled out over $160,000 in coin investments to attend, summed it up best.
If you guys don't know, I was number 72 on the Trump coin leaderboard. It cost me $480,000, and this is all I got at the event. This hat they gave away to pretty much everyone. They had 220 bags, and that's pretty much all I got.
Complete letdown. Sketchy vibes, check. Presidential elbow, rubbing, not even close. One could say the only thing rare that night was the steak and the access. The fallout hasn't just been emotional, it's political and possibly criminal. Senators Warren, Schiff, Murphy, and Ossoff are calling for ethics probes faster than you can say blockchain scandal, alleging this wasn't dinner, it was a glorified crypto pay-to-play. With more than $350 million generated by the dollar Trump coin to date, and investor trust crashing harder than a meme stock in 2021, this saga might become a cautionary tale of what happens when political capital meets actual capital and forgets the seasoning. That's it for this sizzling edition of Code Blue in America. Trump has made a lot of complaints and allegations about Harvard University in their ongoing feud. Please watch.
On Harvard, do you think you'll come for their endowment in any way or go after financial aid?
Well, look, part of the problem with Harvard is that there are about 31%, almost 31% of foreigners coming to Harvard. We give them billions of dollars, which is ridiculous. We do grants, which we're probably not going to be doing much grants anymore to Harvard. But they're 31%, but they refuse to tell us who the people are. We want to know who the people. Now, a lot of the foreign students we wouldn't have a problem with. I'm not going to have a problem with foreign students, but it shouldn't be 31%. It's too much because we have Americans that want to go there and to other places, and they can't go there because you have 31% foreign. Now, no foreign government contributes money to Harvard. We do. So why are they doing so many? Number one. Number two, we want a list of those foreign students, and we'll find out whether or not they're okay. Many will be okay, I assume, and I assume with Harvard, many will be bad. And then the other thing is they're very anti-Semitic. Everybody knows they're anti-Semitic, and that's got to stop immediately.
Now, for a split second, you might think the President of the United States has a valid point, right? Well, not until you do the one thing he'd really prefer you didn't. Ask questions. Yep, because any attempt to probe his logic is basically a demolition crew sent straight through his argument. Asking questions is apparently bad news for him. Now let's revisit some of his complaints about Harvard. At this point, not much surprises me anymore, but I'm still moderately amazed that Trump seems to think the US government doesn't know who the foreign students at Harvard are, which, let's be honest, is an absolutely bonkers thing to believe. According to Harvard's own records, the overall percentage of international students across the entire university, including graduate and undergraduate programs, is somewhere between 25–30%. But here's the bit the president conveniently skips over. For Harvard College, the undergraduate level, the number is actually closer to 14%, based on recent admissions data. But here's the thing. Expecting this administration to interpret statistical data accurately is like expecting a cat to do your taxes. This presidency, which boasts about its qualified hiring practices, code for hiring based on a very specific monochrome definition of qualified, doesn't exactly have a stellar track record with numbers. And if you're wondering where Trump is getting his mystery students conspiracy, from spoiler alert, it's not from Harvard's records, because all of this information is publicly available. It's literally on their website. Like, just Google it. Really. And here's the kicker. Are we actually supposed to believe that the US government, the same government with NSA-level capabilities that can track your location if you sneeze near a smartphone somehow, doesn't know where Harvard's international students come from? That only Harvard's secret list can save us? Come on. So remember, asking questions is how you separate facts from political fairy tales, especially when the fairy tale stars a president allergic to fact-checking. On this episode of Code Blue in America, your go-to segment for fiery headlines, we turn our gaze to Harvard University, where Harvard President Alan Garber has fired back at former President Donald Trump's recent attacks on the university, calling them not just bewildering, but genuinely harmful to national progress. Garber, speaking on NPR's Morning Edition, questioned the wisdom of cutting federal research funding as a way to combat anti-Semitism, arguing that science labs aren't exactly where culture wars are won or should be fought. Why cut off research funding? When in reality, according to Alan Garber, it doesn't just sting Harvard, it sets the nation back. Trump must have missed the memo. Most of the groundbreaking research and discoveries that have put the US military and American corporations at the top of the world started in universities like Harvard.
Harvard is an American institution that is engaged globally, and I wouldn't want to change that. It's in the interest of the university. It's in the interest of the nation.
What would you say to someone in the middle of the country, where I come from, where you come from, who is listening to us and maybe thinking, I really don't have a stake in this. I didn't go to Harvard. I'm not sending my kid to Harvard. I really don't like Harvard that much. And Harvard deserves what they're getting, or in any case, it doesn't matter much to me. What would you say to somebody who has that attitude?
I would ask them to learn a little bit more, not only about Harvard, but about universities like Harvard, that is, research universities. There's so many discoveries that have come from Harvard and other research universities. Advances in cancer, in treatments of cancer of all kinds. A faculty member of ours just got the Breakthrough Prize for work that led to the discovery of GLP-1 drugs, which are now revolutionizing how we approach obesity, diabetes, and many other conditions. Another one of our faculty received the Breakthrough Prize this year for advances in gene editing, which is already being used to cure diseases. This is a huge part of what we do. Everybody benefits from the research work of universities like ours.
When President Trump says, as he did this week, that Harvard's grants ought to go to trade schools instead, how do you respond to that?
I would say that the federal government has the authority through the budgeting process to reallocate funds. But the question to ask is, what problem is he trying to solve by doing that?
So, unless someone is actively trying to cripple the United States and make Russia and China great again, this fight isn't going anywhere good for the president. Also, spoiler alert, Nobel Prize-winning gene editing research doesn't grow on political trees. It's a bit strange, isn't it? Word on the street, or rather the ever-busy rumor mill, is that the president's long-standing vendetta may have roots in his own rejected application to Harvard. You know, the same place he constantly jabbed at Obama for attending. You know, folks, Harvard alumni envy is real. Now, rumor has it that not only his sons, but also young Barron, got the old thanks but no thanks from Harvard and a few other Ivy League schools. Coincidence? Or maybe there's just a mysterious anti-Ivy gene floating around in the family tree. Who knows? These are just rumors, of course. I'm not confirming or denying anything, just whispering it loudly. So, going back to Harvard president here, As the academic dust settles, Garber continued to sound the alarm, not just for Harvard, but for campuses nationwide. He warned that limiting international students and yanking grants is like trying to fix a leaky faucet by blowing up the house. From accusations of non-compliance to the weaponization of cultural grievances, he painted a picture of higher ed under siege. He acknowledged real problems like anti-Semitism and free speech tensions, but insisted the solutions need scalpel-like precision, not sledgehammer policymaking. And while the criticism may come cloaked in patriotism, Garber argued it's the country itself that stands to lose when we treat universities like ideological battlegrounds instead of engines of progress. As he put it, Harvard exists to serve the nation, even if the nation occasionally treats it like a piñata. Mr. President, even your own fan club is starting to cringe. Some of the sharper MAGA crayons think your beef with Harvard and other US universities is about as wise as your tariff tango. In other words, you're shooting yourself in the foot with a bazooka. Case in point, Kevin O'Leary, the Shark Tank shark and card-carrying Trump fan, isn't buying the anti-Harvard hype. On Fox Business, he basically told you to cool it, pointing out that his Harvard students aren't exactly plotting America's downfall. They're too busy trying to build the next billion-dollar startup in America. I want them here. I've already invested in 2 of them, he said, practically waving a little "Make Capitalism Great Again" flag. Harvard, by the way, is practically an international summit, with nearly 7,000 foreign students chasing the American dream harder than a Cyber Monday sale. Sure, a judge has temporarily hit pause on your plan, but this legal rodeo isn't over, and neither is the head scratching from your own supporters. Watch for the next hot-button breaking news on Code Blue in America, only on ogmnews.com. Before you dash off, go ahead and smash that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us everywhere: Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Heck, if you're feeling retro, send us a carrier pigeon or a smoke signal. Stay awesome, stay witty, and we'll see you next time. Another disastrous Truth Social drop was fired off recently by the commander-in-chief via his @real Donald Trump account, proclaiming, "I have long ago informed Tim Cook of Apple that I expect their iPhones that will be sold in the United States of America to be manufactured and built in the United States, not India or any place else. If that is not the case, a tariff of at least 25% must be paid by Apple to the US. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The only problem? That's not remotely feasible. Not even a little bit. If this policy were actually enforced, good luck affording an iPhone. You'd be lucky to end up with $2 and a spot on the factory floor, and apparently you'll be thrilled about it. Because that, friends, is the real MAGA energy. Nostalgia with a side of economic chaos. Also, why in the world is he adding an apostrophe in iPhones? And tariff doesn't need a capital T unless you're trying to make it sound like a Bond villain. If you're going to axe DEI because you think it ruins hiring, maybe, just maybe, hire some qualified white folks, anyone, who can proofread your post before you send it out. And no, I'm not even asking you to hire black people here, though that'd be nice too. I'm just asking you to get the best of the folks you already like. Is that too much to ask? Anyway, I digress. And of course, immediately after that Truth Social post, the markets took another nosedive. It makes you wonder, how many more economic roller coasters can we take in the next 4 years before the tracks just give out entirely? And before you MAGA faithful start hollering, "I didn't vote for this," when the hard times hit, well, too late.
Concern out there. People are worried, even some people who voted for you saying, "I didn't sign up for this." So how do you answer those concerns?
Well, they did sign up for it, actually, and this is what I campaigned on. I said that we've been abused by other countries at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We were losing $3 to $5 billion a day on trade.
He's got the receipts. You signed up for this dumpster fire show, and now we're all stuck watching the season finale. And before you dash off, go ahead and smash that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us everywhere: Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Heck, if you're feeling retro, send us a carrier pigeon or a smoke signal. Stay awesome, stay witty, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.